Dianne Feinstein passed away on Thursday night. It was reported Friday, and then I didn't do a video on it that day, but I'm doing it now, Saturday. Um, I debated not doing this because I always feel like when someone passes away and they're a political figure, there is something, I guess, extra off putting about speaking about the person in a bad way because they can't, in the general sense, defend themselves. Um, And I'm not happy at all that Feinstein had to die to get off the seat. I would have much rather that she had retired or resigned. Because like I've said before, usually when one of these people is out of the way in whichever means that ends up happening, you just replace them with somebody else. This is why I've always said, no matter what happens, I do not want something bad to happen to Trump or any of these other people I don't particularly have any affinity for that are political figures. Because no matter what happens to them, their beliefs, ideology, etc., will find someone else to take the shape of and then be right back in front of you. Plus, I don't like wishing that type of stuff on people I don't know. But I'm going to be as candid as I can. Feinstein was, I think, an awful senator. I dread the fact that she ended up being California's longest serving senator. I think our longest serving is probably our worst period. Um, Whether you're talking about her support for the Iraq War, sanctioning North Korea, um, preemptively endorsing Hillary for president 3 years before the election took place, putting the Confederate flag around the San Francisco Capitol to try to get the VP pick to appeal to Southerners. Her record. The only issue she ever led on, and there are a lot of politicians who don't lead on any issue, so this is a compliment. The only issue she ever took an affirmative stand on was could not be corrupted, could not be talked down or talked out of, was gun control. And it follows a very similar pattern where a lot of these people are only able to see the necessity and seriousness of a given topic if they find themselves affected by it. So, because she became mayor of San Francisco after the deaths of Harvey Milk and Mayor Moscone, um, it resonated with her that there needed to be something done about firearms, and that is an issue that I'm not going to pretend she didn't lead on or didn't have some big role in the progression of it. It's just that when you contrast everything else in her career with that one particular issue, it all just kind of rings hollow. And who could forget when she was at the center of the Kavanaugh hearings by keeping that letter that she received from his accuser hidden? That was another major event, and arguably, I would say, was the biggest event. Well, her last term had two big events. It was the Kavanaugh hearing because she had the letter from the accuser, kept it to herself for whatever reason, um, and then this whole past several years of the cognitive decline and being in and out of the hospital and refusing to step down, just wanting to hold on to power literally all the way up until the end. And also, I should say, the only election Feinstein had that I was able to vote in was the 2018 one, and I voted against her twice. I voted for Allison Hartson in the primary. That was late. That was endorsed by the Young Turks, and then I voted for De Leon in the general because I really was sick of Feinstein even back then. So when I got the news that she's going to retire at the end of this term, I was happy because I said, okay, well now this, and everybody's doing the whole term limit thing or whatever. Um, I mean, it's kind of funny when people say that when you consider that someone like Trump, for example, has people who are questioning his cognitive ability, not as much as Biden, but just like that's a thing they're throwing around him at this point. And even with term limits, which you have on the presidency, you'd only have him for 4 more years. Like there would be no way to stop him from having at least several more years to mess things up or do whatever he wants. So it's just a hollow talking point because my issue with her was always the voting record. It was always the atrocious support of pretty much every war, um, and the complete lack of assertiveness on really any issue that wasn't gun related. Those two things were what bothered me the most. So I like I said, I'm not happy that she went out in this manner. I would have much rather preferred that she had retired. Whether it be by virtue of just not running for another, which is what she had said, or resigning before the term had finished. Because I like I usually don't like to make comments about like of this nature, but I couldn't imagine her being senator for another full year before finally leaving in January of 2025. I like just the way she was being hauled in there and not knowing where she was, and it's really sad that the people around her, whether it was the staffers, the other Democrats, they enabled this. I mean, you look at Pelosi talking about it's sexist to try and call for this woman who, no one has a problem with her being female, but we have a problem with her missing votes on judicial nominees, being absent. Like it was nuts just how much they protected her, not in some actual vested desire to see democracy function, because the largest state having one of its two senators barely be there is not democracy functioning at all, but just to consolidate power. Um, so she was not a good senator in my view. Um, she will be notable for gun control. I think that's something that can be due, but honestly, she's another symptom of one of the things I hate the most about politics, which is that whether you're talking about the first woman ever nominated for president, Hillary Clinton, whether you're talking about the first female Speaker of the House, Pelosi, or like or the first, the first female judicial uh, chair of the judiciary in the Senate, referring to Feinstein. The thing is, that shouldn't matter. The position should. And when the media hypes up this person for their gender or ethnicity, it allows for a smoke screening of what they've actually done in office. So, like I said, not a good senator. I wish she had just been able to retire, but I'm telling you the truth. She's not someone whose voting record I will miss. I'm not happy things ended up this way, but uh, it's definitely going to play into a very interesting year and a half.